Hello, can you all hear me? Great, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you all for coming. My name's Christian, and I'm going to talk a little bit about probably the biggest design challenge, which is designing designers, which we're doing here at Aston. Okay, let me put it into some context first. Design is. What is design? Now, if you think of design, you hear a variety of different examples of what it is, interpretations, and vagueness. And I'm going to try and put some ideas across early on to put my point of what I think design and design thinking is all about. Probably most importantly, and why it hasn't got a really clear definition of what design is different every time. It should be different every time. It should be a new, different challenge every time. Therefore, the design process needs to be different. Oh, here's a nice one. Now, I'm going to design a running shoe. I'm going to design a running shoe. So what do I need? I need those ingredients. I need to bring together elements to solve this problem of designing a running shoe. I might look at the marketplace. I might look at the users. Is it for an athlete? Is it for someone who goes club running? The kind of costs involved in development, the brand, identity. Does it fit with my identity? Regulations. Are there materials constraints? Okay, so all of these elements are coming together in my design process. It's an interesting pattern. I think this is the design thinking bit. It's the bit in between. It's the bit that links all of these elements together. By its nature, it has to be a little bit different each time. I think it's blue for designing running shoes. Let's have a look at maybe a different one. Let's think about, I want to take on the challenge of introducing, we talked about electric vehicles, maybe a new electric type of vehicle in a new market. Maybe we're going to push into maybe South America or China. Lots of companies are already thinking about this challenge. We're going to be looking at the environmental constraints, the technology, what's the politics of that country introducing a new product. Again, the design thinking is the bit that meshes and knits your proposal, your challenge together. And it should be different every time. So the definition of the design process is a little bit vague and different for each one of us. I think there's some themes. I think there's three key elements in putting together this design thinking. It's the knowledge. You need to have the knowledge of those elements, the manufacturing, perhaps the market. You need to understand what is happening. Then you need the thinking bit. This is probably the most exciting bit. This is the thinking tools, the methodology to solve your problem, mesh and knit those elements together to create a really successful solution. And finally, you need some practice. You need to practically apply this. So let's have a little look in a bit more detail. That knowledge then, so where does that knowledge come from? Well, research. Oh, a delightful word, research, to most students and designers. But actually, it's one of the joys of design. The research is the lovely bit, the really enjoyable bit. Let's call it becoming an expert. Let's not call it research, call it becoming an expert. You're becoming an expert in the new market for shoes or cars or manufacturing techniques or technology or materials. So therefore, the wondrous thing about being a designer is that you become an expert for every new challenge, every new project you take on. How do you do that? There's a plethora of different ways of doing it. You might do testing, rapid prototyping, take photographs. You might do ethnographic research. You might do questionnaires. You might do literature reviews. You might build tests and experiments. There are loads of ways of applying it. Thinking outside the box. Oh, I'm not sure if I like the phrase thinking outside of the box. What it says to me is, oh, it's a suggestion that you're going to be a little bit radical, a little bit unusual. Something will pop into your mind. It doesn't. You need a bigger box. Okay? You need to feed your brain the knowledge elements, the understanding of those markets and the materials. Only then, with that food, get a bigger box. Really critical. Okay. We work in all slightly different ways. Lovely. So, anyone right-handed? Yeah, probably majority of you. Okay. Can you write with your left hand? No, yes. Well, you can. But it's not great, is it? So, we have a preference. You have your preference of using your hand, and you use it more frequently. You get better at it, more proficient. We do the same in the way we think. We look at this approach of having a slight preference. Now, if you want to be a great designer, you need to have divergent thinking, spreading thinking beyond the problem, divergent thinking, creating more opportunities, ideal at the beginning of a project. But you also need convergent thinking to begin to focus down on your deliverable, your solution. Now, some people suggest that designers and engineers have slightly different versions of this. Well, that's what we need to look at. The design process often has us join at the initial brief, but by becoming more divergent, we can analyze the issues beyond. So what is it beyond the brief? So if someone wanted, for example, to redesign a life jacket, if I say redesign a life jacket, you'll all immediately think of something yellow. You put your arms through, tie it at the front. I know, I'll redesign it. Maybe you put a little flag on, perhaps a different light, maybe some Velcro on the front. Super, well, we all think that, but let's go to the concept beyond, a bit of Socratic questioning. What's beyond? What's the concept behind the life jacket? Well, it might be buoyancy. Now you start to think about buoyancy, you're starting to think in a much more divergent way. You might come up with flotation planks. You might come up with clothes that float themselves and inflate. So you're much more creative by going up and down. So industry tells us a lot. This is a lovely Jaguar car here at Aston University. And chap on the far right is a chap called Ian Callum, who's the director of Jaguar Design. One thing Jaguar is very good at, it's recognizing the different skills in that journey from concept to production. And they employ designers and sculptors and engineers. And they also employ concept engineers that realize the importance of understanding that journey. So yes, your car looks great and it is well engineered. Win-win. So again, knowledge, thinking, practice. It's in industry as well. These are the ingredients, I think, what we need to create our designer's designer. Here's one we made earlier. So this is Andy. Andy graduated 2 years ago from Aston in design. He's got it all. Good knowledge, great research skills, good at becoming an expert, good thinking. He's very questioning, probes, challenges his own preconceptions, and he rolls his sleeves up and gets in there. Andy went for a job at a design company in Germany and had a 2-day interview, which was to design a product and deliver it in 2 days. He got the job. 199 other applicants didn't. And so Andy is now flying around the world, working for Adidas as one of their designers. He's, I think he's over in San Francisco at the moment, heading up a new project launch. So very much those ingredients are what we're looking for. So how do we apply this then to designing designers? Well, we have a philosophy here at Aston. We recognize the values of the design approach, but also the engineering approach. Absolutely key that these are in combination and appreciated and communicated together. So let's have a look at a couple of projects. So his first year experience, quite intense, trying to get them out of that A-level thinking. So let's introduce some knowledge. That knowledge and understanding of that you need to have, maybe some knowledge of materials or structures or design principles. And here you can see students working, looking at those kind of knowledge-based, building their skills up. Let's have a bit of with practical stuff now. Little structure there. Any ideas? Could be some kind of crane type thing. Okay, well, that's really useful. We're building up their confidence. But now let's move on. These are 3 or 4 weeks into their first year at university. First year at university, they're in teams, just like an industry. They're transferring their knowledge into applying it. They're thinking through. No straightforward briefs. Anyone know what it is yet? It's got wheels. It has. Okay. They're in teams. They're building and applying the knowledge through practice, just like those 3 principles, just like industry is giving us an example. They're learning new approaches, and here you can see they're testing their vehicles. So yes, the little first years, 10 weeks, first 10 weeks at university, they designed and built and, crucially, tested their very own little electric racing cars. And you can see a chap with the red flag, Graham. And Graham's that key element there. Graham is, this is Graham's car. Oh yeah, this is an electric racing car. And Graham is a professional design engineer who came in and gave some lectures to the students. So really useful experience. Here's the winning team doing a lap around the Aston campus. Have a little whew. Keep your eyes peeled. There they go. Great fun and really learning that experience. So there's the winning team. So we're beginning to get their thinking a bit better. Now let's go into that second year. Absolutely critical that they're beginning to engage in industry relevance. So this is a team I took to China just a couple of weeks ago. Organised by the British Consulate General and in association with a large Chinese car manufacturer. Interesting. What are they after? Well, they've got some knowledge, they've got the practical skills of building vehicles, but they need their design thinking. They need that innovative element to bring together those unusual resources and assemble, and that's how you get real innovation. So here's the team. And their task was to come up with new concepts for what could be the future. We were in the city of Chongqing, very similar to Birmingham where we are today, but it's got 30 million people. So the consequences of the vehicles that we are designing are huge with 30 million people. Here you can see some of our students. There's Alice working with a team. Of course, the Aston students very good at working in teams. Some of them have very advanced and innovative solutions here. Okay, so we're beginning to get that knowledge, we're beginning to get that design thinking and the practical element into our creating our new designers. I suppose the final challenge is, in a sense, making your own design thinking, making your own design process. So for these final year students, they were tasked with quite a difficult challenge, which was design a new type of city vehicle. And this is the Aston 2012 Eco Marathon concept car. So it's a competition run by Shell across the world. Any ideas what it's made of? It's made of wood. It's made of wood and cardboard. Sounds a bit silly, but actually it's a very strong structure. So the wood and cardboard structure is a brave thing, and they would have only have developed that concept through really understanding the way their design thinking, being divergent, exploring, understanding good knowledge of materials and processes. You can see the practical element. Not only did they design it, they built it. Here they have a hydrogen fuel cell. It's fantastic technology to be involved with. Interestingly, they showed the car to Ian Callum, guy from Jaguar, who's very impressed. Little clip of the competition, the test of the vehicle.
What's nice about the design part is you don't have to be a mechanical engineer. You can have somebody very artistic and put something together. Some beautiful designs.
George Clooney's in here somewhere. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Some beautiful materials and really just quite pretty to look at.
There he is. There he is. I'm particularly impressed with the concept car category. It's about pushing the envelope and experimenting. Well, the students at Aston University have taken on creative design and innovative engineering to build a flat pack, fully sustainable, hydrogen fuel-powered concept car. It's a beauty, isn't it? Oh, come on. It is. So here we have a kind of our winning formula for designing designers. And if you look at this team here, all of this team have now got great jobs in design and engineering. Several have gone on to do master's courses. One's gone on to do a PhD. We've got 2 guys there who are now working at Jaguar Land Rover. One's set up his own company in China, manufacturing and designing. So the design thinking applied to designing designers actually does work. I think these are the 3 ingredients I'd like to leave you with. And on that note, I'll say thank you.